seeing that it's 7:10, we'll open the Zoning Board of Appeals hearing of February 11th, 2019. Okay, we have 2 appointments tonight. Let's do a little business beforehand. Let's do the minutes of Monday, January 14th, 2019. Anybody had a chance to review? Any changes, deletions, or corrections? I read it over myself. I couldn't find anything. Lana's usual extremely efficient self. Not even a misspelling or anything. Very proud of you.
Thanks.
Would anybody care to make a motion to accept the minutes of Monday, January 14th, 2019?
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of Monday, January 14th, 2019 as presented.
Okay, present and voting tonight, Mr. Nazarella?
Second.
I'm sorry?
I just seconded it.
Oh, are you seconded?
Yeah.
Mr. Vasellin, Mr. Durgan, Deegan, and Dan, and myself.
No, I read the minutes so I could continue on with the meetings, but I probably won't vote on the minutes because I wasn't.
Okay. So is there there was a motion and a second to accept the minutes of Monday, January 14th, 2019 as presented, and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, seeing that it's almost 7:15, let's jump into the first appointment, petition number 886. The Halifax Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, January 14th, 2019 at 7:05 p.m. in meeting number 1 of the Town Hall, 499 Plymouth Street, Halifax, Mass. On the application by Tau, My, and Hep Farm to continue, extend, and alter under section 167-8A, B, and C, existing apartments / multi-family dwelling, special permit number 14 from 1968, from 4 dwelling units to 6 dwelling units located at 395 Plymouth Street in Halifax, Mass. Said property is owned by Tau and My Farm of 15 Mount Vernon Street, Dorchester, Mass. as shown on the Assessor's Map, lots 73-1B and 73-15A and 73-15. Title reference book number 48346, page 206. The applicant seeks to continue and extend the use of their original special permit of 4 dwellings on lot 73-1B by combining lot 73-1B and lot 73-15, thereby enlarging the 29,300 square foot lot to 43,100 square feet. Area is zoned business. Petition number 886. Hi, how we doing? Good. Okay, I saw in the minutes of our last meeting that we suggested that you speak with the building inspector to see what progress we have made on stipulations and the meeting of the building code. How have we made out with that, sir? Your name first of all.
Can you share? Well, they came in and they spoke to me, and I think there was some confusion as far as meeting the building code. So,
The building code,
did you guys receive the letter that I sent?
yes, we reviewed that with the applicant last week.
Let me see if I can explain it. So, meeting the building code requirements and for the safety of the inhabitants isn't a matter of them coming to me to meet the building code.
No, Rob, not to interrupt you, but is this for the 4 units building code or is this for the 6 units code? I understand it's different.
I'm assuming we're going on the fact that they're applying for.
For the
For the
6.
6, okay. How it applies to the 4, we could address after with the
Okay.
applicant if it stays with
But
the 4.
specifically with discuss.
Specifically, either way, because of the size of the building, it exceeds 35,000 cubic feet. They would require a registered design professional to be involved. When they originally started, they had an architect that was involved, and we were going to work through it. The architect isn't involved anymore, and that would be a necessity in order for them to go forward with the building permit process. So, to this date, as far as I know, nothing's been done to the building.
Okay.
Okay.
So we had discussed that in on our last meeting, in the requirement of a registered design professional, an architect. Where are we with that? Because you said you were going to address that issue.
So we are going to get the architect, the engineer again, and go back with you. So
Again, if you're going to look at it as 2 scenarios, the stipulations that would go in with a scenario of approval, as far as I laid out on the paper.
As far as the 6 units. So where are we with that?
yeah,
Yes.
we are going to.
You're going to, or you have a architect involved?
We have before, and now we will have to call them, call you again, you know, to
So nothing's changed from last month's
yeah,
meeting?
yeah, but we meet with, you know.
They came in and they met with me, and I went over the same paperwork that I gave. I said, these are the requirements that I would think should be looked at and addressed.
Okay, are those requirements listed and illustrated on your building plan?
So the one that you mentioned, right?
The paperwork that I gave.
Same
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
okay.
Well, it sounds as if, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
You're fine,
Yeah.
Charlie.
So it sounds, without the architect working with the family, I doubt very much that everything's now been incorporated into the actual plan that's been presented. My recommendation is either A, tonight, you approve it with the stipulations that the building inspector has expressed that should be part of it, but also place a time frame. Say that, for instance, they have to have an architect within 30 days working on this plan, and they have to submit a plan to the building inspector for approval, as far as it meets the building code and the zoning code for the 6 units by a certain date, whether it's 90 days or some other day. I wouldn't do any earlier than 90 days because it's going to take a finite amount of time to get all that work done. But to place the specific deadlines for doing those things. So the reason is this: I think the town's been very interested in working with the applicant on this. We want to have it work, you know, the structure and everything that needs to be done. But we've also now gone for a number of months without, in essence, we're allowing a violation of the building code and the zoning code. We don't want that to continue. We do want it corrected through getting the necessary special permit, getting the necessary building permits, and getting the work done. But at the same time, if the ZBA grants the permit with the stipulations and it doesn't move forward, Rob needs at some point to, in fact, enforce the building code, enforce the zoning code. And in fact, unfortunately, at some point, say there's a zoning violation and the fine and penalties go into effect. I mean, we were dealing with a totally different situation, a totally different property right now in court because the owners of that property failed to comply with the zoning code. We can't pick and choose on these matters, especially where there's safety of the people who are living there in play. So I think you enter the stipulations into the decision that you make. If you approve this, you give certain timeframes for getting the architect and getting submission to the building inspector and zoning enforcement officer. If they aren't met, Rob knows that, okay, I need to move forward.
Now, Charlie, let me ask you this, can that be worded as such, even if it has to be done by town council, that if it's not met within those specified periods of time, that the permit becomes null and void, or?
I would think you want to talk to land use council if you want to do that. I don't know whether it's possible to do that. I honestly don't know. I think it's a practical way of handling it, but I don't know legally whether the permit can be revoked because in essence, we can say that despite getting the special permit, we know that we can say to someone, you got the special permit, but you're in violation of the stipulations. And therefore, while the special permit itself is not revoked, since you're in violation, we can start fining you, and if necessary, we can go to court.
And that can get extremely expensive.
Right, and I don't know, but revoking the permit would be taking away property right, and I don't know whether legally the ZBA, even though with its best intentions doing so, can do so. But we can check with the council. But the other thing is, I know you meet once a month. You met with them last month. It's being brought. We now wait another 30 days, 28 days to get anything done. Nothing happens while you're waiting for council.
Right.
Right, and can I
yes, please.
They do at this point have a special permit for a 4-family multifamily. So what I'm looking for is for the zoning to be taken care of, because they don't have a 6-family special permit. So the building end of it, the building code end of it will happen one way or the other as it applies to either the 4-family or the 6-family.
And that's a necessity as far as public safety is concerned.
I think they don't understand the full scope of what's going on. They need an interpreter to show them, to tell them what's going on, or explain to them the code that we're putting for them. Unless you do that, they're not gonna be able to understand that what's going on here. Unless they have an interpreter that will explain it to them and show them the way to do it.
Well, initially, when this whole process first started, they were represented by council, which was a big benefit. At least, even if we couldn't get the explanation through and the language through, right?
It's hard for them to understand what's going on here. You know, I don't know. Maybe you understand. You know what's going on.
That's why it's so important to have the architect involved. That would do.
I mean, the architect would show them what's going on and tell them the right way. But for us here to sit there and battle back and forth and they don't understand what's going on, they should have the architect here.
That's
in this meeting to know what's going on.
So we'd like to ask the permission, if possible, please extend next month so we can, we can contact with the architect that, the old one.
Do you have an architect currently under agreement?
Yeah. You get done this before, so everything is
Can I?
Yes, please.
So I don't think the issues have changed since the very first time we met. And they had an attorney here who gave them, who was working through all of this, and from my perspective, there wasn't a great argument for 6 apartments at the time. I don't think there are 6 units being occupied right now. They're down to 4.
Myself and the fire chief went over to make sure they at least had the basic smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors within the 4 units that are occupied. We went up onto the 2nd floor, which has more building code issues than the 4 that are on the 1st floor. The house has numerous water infiltration. It's got other issues that need to be addressed. So our main concern at this point was to make sure that the 4 units that are occupied at least have basic life safety requirements. They have 2 egresses, they have the smoke detectors, the carbon monoxide detectors. But that being said, how does the detriment of the other 2 units affect those 4 units? The 2nd floor doesn't have a proper means of egress. It's too narrow. It doesn't have 2 means of egress. The house, like I said, has, I don't know if at this point I can say it has structural issues, but it has water infiltration coming in, which could cause structural issues. Could it get into wiring? Could it cause a problem for the inhabitants in the 4 units?
The 4 that are existing now are on the 1st floor. The 2 that they are proposing are on the 2nd floor.
So the 2nd floor would be one proposal, and then the main structure, as you're looking at it to the right, which is the main house.
The house.
It's quite large. It has 2 floors, the 1st floor, 2nd floor, and there's multiple areas of issues.
At one time, that had a roof over a roof inside that thing.
It very well could have.
Yeah, that's when Harrison had it. It was like one roof on top of it. We went in there one day.
Okay, and I guess then, Rob, my next question would be, given the condition of the property or the housing that's there now, It is possible, I guess I'm looking for, it is possible to bring it to code?
Again, anything's possible depending on the scope of the work and the amount of money you have.
But it can be done with,
It can be done.
so that would be, making
It
the,
may be a major undertaking.
But again, it's the same issues we've had since the very beginning, and they still have not merged the lot. That was the centerpiece of the conversation we had the very first time we sat down and talked. There hasn't been iota of growth on this since they originally
understand.
applied April 24th, but they had a lawyer at those meetings, or at least 3 or 4 of them, who pointed out all those points. You know,
It's still the same.
yeah.
They don't, the language is very difficult for them.
how about, Rob, as far as the other conditions that we had spoken about with the applicants regarding, the pool out back, the pool house?
Marion was there,
Pool
she
house,
told me about it.
when I went out with the fire chief for a visit, it appeared to be empty. I think there was a mattress on the floor and it looked like an old television. There were old canned goods in the kitchen. So, I mean, it appeared to be uninhabitable, nobody living in there. It was not completely emptied out and clean.
All right, has it been discussed with you in regards to the Outback building, the chicken coop / barn, I don't know what we go, whatever you wanna call
The
it?
exterior has been deemed unsafe by myself and the fire chief. The roof has various stages of collapse, water's getting into it, there's a lot of rot on the inside. Again, you've got a structure that's over 35,000 cubic feet. You know, they were issued a letter from my office stating this structure is deemed unsafe, and you have the choice, you can either tear it down or bring it up to code.
Had that issue been discussed with you within the last month, 30 days? Because we had discussed that point, I noticed in the meeting, they stipulated that the condemned accessory structure / the barn, or chicken coop, whatever you want to call it, would be raised within the year. Mr. Pham agreed. Has there been plans for that? Have there been plans or something in effect to, in fact, take down that building that's in the back? You said last meeting that it was going to be done within a year.
If you know, the community agree for us, you know, to get the 6 dwelling units, so we can you know, get it down on 15 year, because we need the money to
Yeah, but if the board did vote on this, there would be specific time
1 year.
certain. Well, it's been a long year, you know, and to continue it on for still another year, you know, the board is looking for basically what you had agreed to our last meeting, that it would be raised. And to say that it's going to be done at some uncertain time in the future, I know myself would require that it would be, a specific date would be required.
Why don't we put a date on it?
What's that?
Why don't we put a date on it?
Mr. Chairman, I think if you look at the list that I provided you, it states a lot of the stuff that we're talking about.
Right. And we did go through your list at the meeting, you know, we went through it, you know, with the applicant as best we could. Yes, sir.
So, please, you know, give us a date, you know, so we can you know,
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other comments or questions, please?
But even if we don't approve 6 units, I mean, which they don't have the lot for as it stands, I believe, they would still have to meet these requirements regardless.
It becomes an issue because if it remains the 4 units, the way the building is built,
There's
the
concerns.
units are going to be a problem.
Correct.
With the remaining 4.
Right. So
They're
all
still
we're
going to
doing,
have to address the building.
Right.
So that the 4 that remain are safe.
and all we're doing is allowing 2 more units to be occupied in this building that largely could be unsafe. And there hasn't been a step of growth towards making that building more, and maybe you can speak to this. Have you done anything in the last year?
No, but then, according to the, the town approved, but when the family did the septic system, it's approved for 6 units and a pool house,
Yeah.
yeah, at that time. And now also we get on the map we get.
Good, sure, please.
Regarding to this area.
Right, we had discussed at our last meeting that the lot lines themselves were going to be repositioned and registered and changed down at the Registry of Deeds. Has that been done?
He didn't know. In his show, I have to check with his daughter. He doesn't know exactly.
If, well,
Maybe we can check with the town. Maybe. Need to be registered, right? Registered deed.
anybody else would like to address any other issues or ask any questions thereof?
I think it's, I think that it's time that we do something, whatever it's in our ability to do, whether it's fines or something. It's not, if this was my building, this is how I'm thinking about it, if this was my responsibility, and if I wasn't sure what was being said, I would make sure I found out.
And
I
that's
think
the
the burden
problem.
is on the owner. So I think there's been plenty of time for them to act or to find out, I mean, I'm sympathetic to the fact that they bought it thinking it was a 6-unit building. If they can make it safe, I would be all for that. But to do nothing for the 4 people that live there or the 4 tenants that live there, whether it's couples or whatever, that's just not right. And I think we're at the point now where we have to do something to either the only thing I think they maybe don't understand is what the reprimands could be. And I think we've got to go down that road. This has been way too long.
Well, I think
Because there's
basically 2 choices that,
excuse me, there's 2 issues, right? There's the existing 4 that have to be dealt with immediately. And then the 6 could be talked about later. But if the building could be, if I'm understanding this correctly, if the building could be brought up to where it meets all zoning for the 4, they can always ask for the 6 later.
Well, it meets zoning.
They have
for 4
zoning
now.
for the 4.
But there's issues though.
There's building issues under the building.
building
That
code.
we have nothing to do with.
All right.
Well, our
so-
question is
so-
whether we want 2 more occupied units in that building,
Well, and I would suggest that
right?
if we're going to go down that road for approval, that those units not be occupied until it's all
Right.
rectified and safe.
Right.
All 6.
Or if we approve a special permit for it to eventually be there. But regardless, they're gonna have to do these things.
And I think that
Why don't
the,
we- Right, but nothing's happening. Why don't we
That's
wait?
my point,
I'll
yeah.
give them a 30-day extension till we see the architect. Maybe we can get a,
Some sort of translator,
Do-
break
do they
that
need-
Did we
language
ask that last
barrier.
month? I mean,
did
And a
they
month
bring,
before.
did they bring the architect with them? No. They have to
yeah,
bring
they
somebody.
didn't bring anyone.
Anyone, so we can understand what's going on.
initially we had the architect went out and drew some plans. My initial question to the architect was, does in fact this building exceed 35,000 cubic feet where it would require an RD, and he did agree. He measured the building, he drew up some initial plans, he says, yes, it does require a registered design professional, it does exceed 35,000 cubic feet. We never got to the point of what's there and how we're gonna remedy what's there.
Okay. Bob, how about you? What do you think?
quite a bit of time's gone by, and it doesn't seem like they've done anything, if very little.
Well-
At this time, I wouldn't be able to approve a special permit, even with timeframes in. They haven't done anything over the course of the last year.
Well, again, I'm just throwing this out, I don't think they understand, they may be confused as thinking maybe they needed to wait for the special permit in order to do work and get the architect. But again, you need to understand that if the architect is involved, you can't be doing the work yourself, you're gonna have to get a contractor, okay? And he's gonna have to be a licensed contractor, and they're gonna have to meet all the requirements, okay?
We know that, you know.
Okay.
But if I just heard them correctly, they're asking, they need the 6 to be able to have the money to repair the building. Is that what I just heard?
That's what I thought I heard.
Yeah, that's what I thought I
Well,
heard.
to raise the building, which is the barn out back.
And that's,
But they likely won't be occupied units anyway, even if
Right.
we approve this.
right.
Give them an extension for 30 days.
And arguably this started because I think the building inspector found out that they they had occupied units beyond their
There
special
was
permit.
work being done at the property.
Yeah.
The Board of Health had some issues with the pool.
Yeah.
Found out that some people were living in the pool cabana that wasn't allowed in it. The snowball
Yeah,
since then.
yeah.
Okay, then, and certainly input from the rest of the members of the board. The way I look at this, we basically have two choices, and we had discussed. Either we can approve the special permit for the 6 units with stipulations with very specific terms, time certain, as far as architect meets the code in 90 days, dates for the chicken coop to be raised, and even in writing have required that a licensed contractor it has been hired to do the work. Or we basically deny the permit and wait for them to bring the 4 units up to code, and when that's all done, then they can reapply after a year and reapply for the 6 units. I don't know, am I looking at this wrong, or what do you?
I think you're looking at it correctly. It's just whether or not they can meet all the stipulations or want to argue the stipulations.
And what happens if they can't? That's the other thing, you know, if we do approve the 6-unit permit.
They haven't done nothing yet, so.
You can't
Well,
pull,
correct.
you can't
It'll
pull the
be
permit,
rejected.
they get fined.
You can't-
Correct?
It would,
You can't pull the permit, according to what Charlie said.
Well, at that point, what you're doing is you're giving them approval for 6 units under zoning. Then everything after that becomes a building code issue.
Other than the fact if they don't move ahead with it,
Right.
at some point, if they don't pull the building permit, then Rob has to go to them and say, I'm sorry, you know, on such and such a day, you're gonna start getting fined at $300 a day, because you're not in compliance.
then we approve a building with 6 units and nothing's done, then
On
Then-
a
I
lot
can't- I
on a lot
can't.
that currently does not have the minimum requirement of the special permit itself.
Well, with the current lot lines the way they are.
Well, we're talking the 40,000 square feet or the 20?
So they need, but they haven't changed the lot lines.
Right, they would need,
That was in the letter back in
One
April.
corner of the building.
They haven't done it.
I thought that was done. That was proposed.
I don't know if it's been done. That was proposed as if it was done, but,
And then again, you've got the whole
But he doesn't
easement
know if
issue
it
with the
was-
septic system,
yeah, right.
and which goes away if they redesign the lot and they remove the chicken coop.
Mhm.
And the chicken coop would be moved real easy.
Yeah, right.
It's called a match.
What are you saying?
It's a large.
Hard for me.
It's a large building.
If we vote this down and say no, they gotta wait a year.
2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is 2 years.
Unless, I believe you have the right to grant a waiver to that. It's up to you to make that decision whether to grant a waiver. But you're right, the basic rule is the 2 years, but the ZBA can, on its own, say, fine, we'll.
I thought that was
Could we-
the
could we
state
do-
zoning code that said 2 years, that's what I was
Well,
thinking.
that's to do with bringing the zoning proposal to town meeting also, but I can check.
So when you say waive it, we can make it any time we want, or?
Yeah, I believe so, but I'll check. Maybe, well,
Maybe,
I'll
vote
check.
no, and we can review and they can reapply in 6 months. That gives them time to do what they
Get
gotta
some
do,
work done.
to show some good faith.
How do you feel?
I
Can't
couldn't,
see-
I couldn't approve the 6. They haven't done,
I mean, if they
Much at
move
all.
forward, I don't wanna walk them off for 2 years.
the other thing
If
is
they
we
move
give them
forward.
30-day extension and they get an architect, they show that they,
They're not
So
doing
doing
something.
we
They're not gonna do
continue
it.
this again for 30 days?
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
at
yeah,
that point,
yeah.
it's,
Did
say
Dan
no.
say the planning board, yeah. This is where it says, if ZBA acts unfavorably, this is on a special permit, petitioner barred from returning to ZBA on the same issue for 2 years, except with approval of the planning board.
The
I
planning
don't know
board?
why it's read that, it reads that way, but that's what it says.
Well, I think it's because they do conduct the appeal of any applicant that's been turned down by the zoning board, I believe.
Well, just, that's what it's there.
So
They'd
it
have to go to the
would be up to the
planning
planning
board for
board.
yeah, if we deny something, don't they go in front of the planning board? Yeah.
They do have a right to appeal that. Well, what's the pleasure of the board then? How do you gentlemen feel? That's our choice. We give them a 30-day extension to come back with the architect, bringing up the code, the dates of compliance, the lot lines corrected and registered, and have a licensed contractor under agreement, or you want to vote on this tonight? I think that's what it boils down to.
Anything you're doing it in 30 days?
I'm sorry?
Nothing's gonna happen in 30 days.
No, they're not gonna do
I
it.
think we should vote on this tonight, that's my personal thing.
You think what? I'm sorry?
I think we should vote on this tonight, that's my personal feeling. If they wanna bring it back, we can look at maybe waiving it, but this, I mean, we could talk about this for a year.
Bert?
Yes.
And you can check with Alana, I don't know what the deadline is for making a decision, as much as you might want to extend it by
We're
30
close to
days,
this.
you'll
Yeah,
have to
we've
agree.
extended it, and he's submitted a written request to extend it the last time, Alana, is that correct?
Yes.
So, do we have a request that extends it to this March?
Do,
It was
When's it
applied for
expire?
on December 10th.
Yeah,
So,
they reapplied, I think. They withdrew it and then reapplied, right?
yep, they
Yeah.
reapplied on December 10th.
Okay, so even March will be within the period, question mark?
with the extension, Alana?
Well, no, you're.
Without the extension.
Oh, I mean, the extension that they signed last month.
Be close.
They submitted it. A written 30-day extension, correct?
Right.
I believe they did.
But
Yes.
it's-
So what does that give us
We have
to?
a hun-
When is the,
100 days, right? Or the 90 days to vote, right? I'm jumping in.
I think it's 100 with a special permit. You might be right.
I believe it's 100.
We're just gonna be real close to March 11th if we move forward.
So December,
Is
January,
60 or
February.
is it 100?
March would be 90 days.
Right. Um,
I think a variance is 90, special permit 100.
There's one, yeah, there's the difference between
yeah, that
some.
would be 90 days, March 11th.
And they have 100 days? Or they have the 90? I believe it's 100
I think it's 100. I can double
on
check.
this.
Well,
So how about April? So April.
Yeah, well, the decision of the board shall be made within 100 days after the date of the,
So 100 days from December,
What is it, the filing date, not the first meeting, isn't it
The
the filing
decision
date?
of
When did they
the
meet
board
with you?
shall be made within 100
When
days
did they
after the
meet
date
with
of
you?
Which is the
filing.
10th.
it's the filing.
Yeah.
Last week sometime.
Except in regard to
They
special
waited till the
permits as
end,
provided in
basically, they didn't
section
do it up
9.
front. Yeah, it's no big.
So we have the 100 days, and they gave us, and
But he said he'll give us an extension, so if we have him sign an extension,
okay, what,
You have time, to get, to meet all requirements.
Yeah.
Well-
At the same time.
Wait a
The
minute.
decision of the special permit granting authority shall be made within 90 days following the date of such public hearing. When was the first public hearing on this?
December,
Yeah, it's the last.
the filing date, Charlie, or
So
the,
it's the hearing.
January,
The hearing
January
date.
14th. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
So the initial date of this hearing
Initial was,
January 14th.
January 14th? Okay. well,
I believe so.
Then you're good.
Yeah,
we're
fine.
good. Without, even though they gave us an extension
Yeah.
letter from the last time,
But if we denied it, they would have to go to the planning board to change the lot lines anyway. In that process, they could ask them for a waiver to come back to us with that, and they could apply again if that was the case.
or they're still within their time limit as far as their initial application.
True.
To get
At some
to get-
point,
But we need to see some
there
sort
needs
of
to be
progress.
a decision made, either
Yeah.
no or yes. The yes decision, if, you know, again, if they can bring the code, bring it up to code, if we can get an architect involved, and they can meet all their stipulations. But again, it's, if you go 30 days, you're gonna have the same decision.
With likely the same facts.
It's what?
With likely the same facts.
And I'm not saying one way or the other, you do what the board wants, but
So their 90 days is up in March? Or 100 days, whatever?
90 days
April.
from the middle, from January 14th, I think it
April.
was. So you're talking 28
February,
days for
March,
February, 56
April.
for March. You're on the 8th, so you're talking a little.
April.
Another 28 days, so you're at 84 days for April 8th.
Yeah.
So you've got one more, you've got, you know, 1, 2, yeah.
But even so, in reality, they've had almost a year.
Yeah, but not from the
No,
reapplication.
I know, but as far as the issues.
Yeah, the same issue's been there since the letter.
And people are living there in those conditions. I mean, if something happens, when is now the town liable?
What, is,
It's not even a matter whether it's we're liable or not, it's rather than the publicity will be bad no matter, whether we're
Right.
liable or not, it looks bad.
Right.
yeah, I guess would,
I can't start the building process for 6 units without approval from the board.
absolutely.
And the 4 that are there, you know, what my choices at this point is make them safe now and in the future, or tell them they need to get out.
The problem I'm having is if they couldn't do it for 4, how are they gonna do it for 6? That's the problem. You know, it costs more to do 6 than it does 4.
Great. My only problem is that I think each application has to be judged on its own merit, and the fact that this application, even though we've dealt with this since April of 2018, I think it's April, this application in front of us now is January 14th. And it's my feeling that it should be judged on its own merit on this application. And if, I think if they have time available to them to, A, bring it at least up to code for on the 4, within the structure set up as the time constraints allow on this application from January 14th, I think they should be able to do that. You know, granted, like you said, it's been over a year
I
and
agree
whatnot.
with you, it's a new application, it should be waiting on its
It should be
own merits.
judged on its own merit. That's just my feeling. I don't,
So the extension is good till March 10th or 11th?
no.
No,
April.
you have 90, you have a new application before you, and the clock started ticking on January 14th.
Right, so they have till
90
April.
Yeah, your meeting in April will fall still within the 90 days. After that point, if for some reason both sides want to continue, you'll need to mutually agree that to extend the hearing.
So,
In the meantime, within the, say, the April meeting, I myself personally would like to see that those 4 units that you had spoke of before, even beyond our discussion of liability and whatnot, that at least as far as a public safety issue is concerned, that they at least be brought up to code within some kind of satisfactory of the building inspector, the fire inspector, you know, as far as making at least a time certain to bring the 4 units up to code. within the time constraints set up by this new application on January
Then we'll
14th.
continue on the other 2 units.
Right. I personally think that as of this date, if we can, the next hearing would be in April.
March.
Right. But if their particular meeting would be in April, that would give them ample time to come forward with a contractor, an architect, and measures to bring the 4 units up to some type of a safety code, so that as far as public safety, the public is concerned regarding the tenants and the 4 tenants that are existing there now.
Could we force them to come back in March and see what the progress is, or no?
Well, yeah, you can.
I don't know why we
You
couldn't.
can vote to
Yeah.
continue the
If
hearing
we
to
can-
a
if we
date and
can-
time of your choosing, and that can be March. You know, maybe a 5-minute meeting, but you still can.
Right, just an update, so to speak.
An
you know.
update to see what the progress is between them and the building inspector, and if they're gonna meet the deadline in April. If they're not gonna meet the deadline in April, then that's it.
So the meeting, we shop on March 2, right?
Yes.
But
So,
what I think, and you can tell me I'm off, you need to get some work done
Yeah.
between now and then. You need to get an architect on board.
right,
I strongly recommend you bring an interpreter to this meeting. We can't, as far as I know, we're not legally obliged to bring an interpreter for you. I recommend you bring someone here who can communicate everything, because we really do want you to understand what you're going to be required to do.
if in fact the board votes that way, I personally, looking at the 5-minute meeting in March, for lack of a better description, issues being addressed would be the architect, the licensed contractor under agreement. I'd like to know at least what the stages were as far as correcting lot lines, and certainly your proposal, and a concrete proposal on how you're going to meet the building code within at least within the 30 or 60 days, whether it be March or April.
Okay, I'd like to repeat again. First is the licensed contractor, right? The architect,
So architect,
Architect's number 1.
and the better one.
He needs to start a conversation with me,
Okay, sure.
okay?
Right. So the architect that you would be hired, or the, what was it, a design,
Registered design professional.
a registered,
Somebody that's in the field of providing a stamp.
would have to contact and speak with Mr. Piccarelli regarding the requirements that the board's gonna be looking for. That's the architect. Number 2 was the licensed contractor. At least somebody under contract that's gonna do the work, that's available with your intentions of how that's gonna be done or what's gonna be done. Again, if there's an attorney or someone, a proposal to look like what you're gonna submit for the change in the lot lines to fix that issue.
I leave it to you.
And we're gonna look for a time certain or we discussed the chicken coop, you know, with the barn chicken coop out back, as far as that hazard being removed. Okay? If the board so votes.
You need to see me, if you're going to remove the building, you need to come see me for a demolition permit, okay? Okay. Again, there needs to be a contractor involved, okay?
I don't know. Oh, what else does the board think? Well, either that or, you know, if, I'll open the floor to a motion regarding petition number 886. Good luck putting all that word in. I don't think I can make a motion. Okay.
I'll make a motion for petition 886 to continue the meeting till the March 11th meeting with the stipulations that were presented before us.
That those 5 items be addressed at the next meeting. in that case, and I think after that, the board would be in position to at least vote on your submission by the April meeting.
So the architect need to be on a meeting or?
Can somebody write it down for me?
He needs to get in touch with me,
Oh, that's a new question.
sooner than later,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor regarding petition 886. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion on the floor then is to extend, an extension to the next meeting, our March 11th meeting, at which time the stipulations would be that the items to be discussed are those that were outlined, as far as the architect, the licensed contractor, the proposal for the lot line changes, how they're going to be submitted to the registry of deeds to have that at least addressed. And of course, the plan, after speaking with the building inspector, of the steps that are going to be taken and be completed by the April meeting to meet the building code requirements. How's that? Did I miss anything?
That was
That was
4.
4.
Okay. License contracted. Oh, the date for the chicken coop. Did you mention that, when it was gonna be raised? Is that one of the 4?
Yeah. No, that was the 5th.
The architect, the code, license contract, the lot lines, and the chicken coop. I have 5.
So what are we discussing for the lot lines? What are we talking about?
Well,
To bring it out to the 40,000? Because
That's
if
the sewer easement, the septic easement they need to.
Right, so if their intent is to follow through with removing of the structure that's in danger, would they then, if the board thinks it would be not necessary, but maybe helpful, to move the lot lines so that the septic system is on its own?
well, that was the original proposal, Rob. That's how I understood it, you know, that's what they
That's, yeah,
were,
that's what they talked about at the very beginning.
from the very beginning, you know, and it was discussed on our the last meeting that was their intention.
More or less.
Okay?
Well, the reason they couldn't do that is because if they put the lot, if the chicken coop stayed, they would be in violation of meeting the 50-foot setback. So if the chicken coop goes, they don't have to deal with that issue.
Maybe to have an interpreter here present, like Mr.
Can
Seals.
we make that a requirement?
No, you can't make that.
I didn't think so.
I'm just urging you to
Suggestion.
do so.
It would be a good idea, you know, if you did have an interpreter present at the
And
march.
the architect, too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So there's a motion on the floor that's been seconded. I'm gonna call for a voice vote. Isaiah?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Yes.
Tom? Dan?
No.
And I vote yes. So it passes 4-1. And at this time, we don't need any other letters of extension or anything like that. We're all good. You're still within the time constraints from your January 14th application. So I would greatly appreciate if your architect and contractor would be in touch with Mr. Piccarelli as soon as possible. Let's get this done. We're trying our best. We really are.
You ask your permission that your name and phone number, so that you can take again.
Let me get your card.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And you-
Charlie, appreciate your help. Thank you very much.
And if you need me here next month, we'll see.
Yeah.
I got finance at the same time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Maybe they
Well,
finish.
that was the only thing I was thinking of, that maybe we would need town council to draw this thing up so we dot the i's and cross the t's. That was how I
Yeah.
raised that.
Well, I mean, all right, I can't go into this with you.
Yep.
We're done. So-
Okay, good. Thanks, Charlie.
Yep.
Well, Rob, thanks so much. Appreciate your help. Thank you. Yikes. Boy, wasn't that a good time. It's just one big party
I
here.
told you it was gonna be
What a
quick.
mess. They're gonna come back a month and they're gonna,
Same thing.
I know.
it's like a parent phone call in my office.
Okay, we're off. Petition number 888. Everybody here?
You need an
We're all
interpreter.
here? Good stuff. The Halifax Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, February 11th, 2019, at approximately 8:00 p.m. in meeting room number 1 of the Town Hall, 499 Plymouth Street, Halifax, Mass. On the application by Shannon Walsh to raise and rebuild a single-family home at 24th Ave, Halifax, Mass. Said property is owned by Shannon Walsh of 24th Ave, Halifax, Mass. 02338, as shown on Assessors Map 52, Lot 150, title reference number Book 50327, page 26. The applicant seeks a special permit to raise the existing house and construct a new single-family home on a 19,200 square foot lot, which would constitute a continuation of a non-conforming use and an alteration of a non-conforming use, as well as a variance from the front setback on Lincoln Street from 50 feet to 48 feet, in accordance with the zoning bylaws of the town of Halifax under 167.8A and B and section 167.11. Area is zoned residential, petition 888. Hi.
Good evening. My name is Steve Kotowski from Webby Engineering. I'm here tonight with Mrs. Walsh, who's the owner and applicant, and also Kevin Tonsberg, who's going to be building the house. As was said in the public hearing notification, what the applicant seeks to do is to raise the existing dwelling.
Excuse, has it been raised? Is that the one
No,
that's...
It should have been. I'm surprised the windows are not there all the way.
No, they were down there today.
trees, yeah,
No, just cut the trees.
yeah, he's been down.
What's the one that was raised?
Don't know about that.
Wasn't that 4th Ave? The one on the... So this is not the one on the corner?
This is the one on the corner of 4th, Lincoln, and 3rd Ave. It sits in between the 3 streets. So if you're coming up Lincoln, this is the one that's just, yeah, you're coming up off of Monpont Street, up Lincoln.
Oh, I see. They
This one is on this
cut the trees, and I thought, you're right. I've seen that house next door, so...
Yeah, it might have been opened up because as you come up here...
Yeah, I thought there was a house on it, and they raised it. My bad. Excuse me.
It's okay, it's a small house, and so what they want to do is obviously raise that house, which is here in orange, kind of sits closer to 4th Ave,
house
and
is
where they're
great.
proposing. And build a new house, which basically we've got it centered
You're
in the
limping
middle
for
of
this
the
last
lot.
one.
You gotta laugh, yeah.
As was stated, it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot. There's only 19,200 square feet, so it's about a half of what is required in this district. But there already is a single-family dwelling. They're proposing to put back a single-family dwelling. Because we're on 3 streets, we are kind of stuck a little bit because normally we'd have side yards that we'd be able to kind of shift things around. But as you can see, we're 55 feet from 3rd Ave. We're 55 feet from 4th Ave, and we're 31 feet from the side yard property line because the frontage comes in off of 4th Ave. Driveway comes in off of 4th Ave, so the address will be, as it was stated. is
So
20.
technically, you have 3 frontages.
Yeah, so we have to be 50 feet from all 3 streets, so the best we can squeeze it in is to be 48.2 feet. I think it is better than what we've already got on 4th Ave. We're at least pushing the house back, centering more on the lot rather than favoring, where it might be too close to one of the abutters and too close to the street.
What's the square footage of the house that's being raised?
We've got the existing house is, it's only about 600 square feet. It covers, the lot coverage calculated out to 3% right now of what the house is on the lot. The proposed house with the decks and everything is gonna be 1,565 square feet. So we're still only 8.3% of the lot coverage, so not that much.
Have you checked and confirmed with the assessor's office that is this one single lot? My question is if it meets the grandfather requirement. Is this one single lot owned in its entirety, or are we talking 3 or 4 made-up lots from
No,
the Bonnie Estates there?
Exactly, these were all 30 by 100s. There's probably 10 lots in here, if I was to calculate it out. Let's see, so each one of these would be 4, and then there would be 80, so there would be 4 here. So there'd be 8 lots that were originally, in this block to create what we're showing here tonight.
So they're all combined into one lot now?
They're all combined onto one deed right now.
So-
There's no plans for any kind of a silly subdivision.
Were they all owned in its entirety by one person?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think I have the deed, which is basically calls out all those lots. Original plan.
Oh, well.
These were the lots on the Bonnie Estates back in the day, believe it or not. That they, at the old movie theater across the street from the Catholic Church, they used to auction the lots off as like prizes during intermission.
That's weird.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
My father has a couple of lots in Marshfield that are unbuildable, but they used to sell them at the Marshfield Fair when he was a kid.
It's crazy.
It was a prize that you could win.
You'd win as a prize, you get a lot.
Yeah.
One of these, same thing, is 30 by 80. But as you can see, that's their deed, which calls for 150, 152, basically this block here, and then 169 through 172 on this other side.
Okay,
It is
but
one-
when they bought this has all been one lot,
Exactly.
always.
Yep.
I mean,
Before-
with
When they bought
with
it.
this house existing on
Exactly,
it.
there's not been any land added to this. I mean, we haven't traced back the
So
deed.
we don't want no surprises.
No.
No, we don't want any surprises.
If you look at where, if we were gonna try to do some kind of surprise, we wouldn't be putting the lot, I mean, the house smack dab in the middle of the lot. They'd try to position it here and then try to sneak something in later on, but.
I want to see if I can get two houses there, but.
Let's not get crazy,
My
right?
engineer said no.
Yeah, so don't push it.
Any other questions from the board? Do you have a picture of what the house is gonna look like? We
Well,
got,
I gave one.
we got plans, I didn't see it in, my packet here,
Well, I gave it.
do we have them in the file?
Yeah.
I can pull it up on my phone, but
I mean, is it gonna be a little bit nicer than the house then?
not much.
Peter, did you see these?
We're gonna stick with the same color.
I'm gonna use the same shingles.
I think
The top's
you
gonna
might
go
have
though.
some here.
The top's gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta see.
No, it's just the,
Site plan.
Is that not what
I get it.
Well, I think it's a requirement for the application that plans are submitted for the board's review.
There we go.
I thought I gave him a whole packet of
Yeah, we
everything.
have it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She was just testing it.
That's a fix
Yeah.
up, huh?
That's gonna be the house.
I kinda like the other.
Oh. Supposed to say no to that?
But that's a nice looking home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew, I passed everything, and that's kind of before, that's what we'll end up looking like with the. when it's done.
So as you go down Lincoln Street, if I get this correctly, on your right-hand side is 3rd and 4th Ave. As you go in, it's probably just before you get to the parking area there for the beach.
Yep.
You good with that, Robert?
What's that?
You know where it is?
Yeah,
You're talking about going down
yeah.
Lincoln Street?
Yeah, it's a boat ramp, there's like a
back.
boat ramp there, go down, and there's a little cul-de-sac, and you can, launch, I guess, jets.
That's 4th Ave,
That's
correct?
what,
And if
Yeah.
you're not a town resident, you can't eat your lunch there. Found out when the police came, and I had to go down there and just sit there having my lunch one day, and I get the knock on the door, what are you doing down here? "Having my lunch. You're not supposed to be here, you're a town resident, nope. Hey, get out of here.
Wow. Look at that.
Good to see the roundabout.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Strict Halifax rules we have here.
You can't have your lunch in the resident.
You can drive by and look at it.
Single family.
yeah.
Who's the contractor?
I think it's-
Oh, you. Full basement, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had, only models in about 7 feet down, so we've got the proposed cellar floor 2 feet higher than the water table, seasonal unadjusted high water table.
All right, just some of the issues on a special permit. The first one is you have to show a hardship. And I personally feel because of the size and shape and the location of the lot where it's been grandfathered, it meets the requirements of a hardship. I think the positioning of the house is probably the best you're gonna come up with, given the area that you have to work with the 19,000 square feet as far as septic goes and whatnot. The third is that it's not detrimental to the established character of the neighborhood. And as much as I love the house that was no, I do think that it would be certainly increasing the property values of everybody around. It would certainly make the neighborhood itself look better. And I don't feel that it would be derogate from the intent of the bylaw. That's how I personally feel. I think it would certainly be nice to see in the neighborhood a nice structure like that. The other thing, the question is, normally it's the practice of the board that we do a site inspection unless members of the board feel that they're familiar with the area. So in which case, we'd go out within the next 30 days prior to our next meeting, go out and look at the lot, and then vote on it in the March meeting. Unless the board feels differently, that they're familiar enough with the neighborhood and whatnot, that it's certainly within the constraints of the zoning board to waive the site inspection. I'll open that up for discussion if anyone feels that they're not familiar enough with it, or that they'd like to go out and take a look at it.
I'd like a motion to waive the onsite.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor and it's been seconded to waive the site inspection. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically what that did is just saved you 30 days, you know, by waiving the site inspection. Weather permitting, you know, it would save you 30.
That's why I thought we brought the pictures down, so you didn't have to do.
That's very helpful.
Took the pictures of the cleared, so I don't have the cleared pictures. So. And I know the neighbors were really happy when they saw the tree guy.
Have you spoken with any of the neighbors out there?
No, I didn't see. I went there Saturday, and
I thought I saw you there Saturday. Weren't you willing with the pole holding up the
no,
the telephone line?
No.
So.
But the neighbors were really happy that the trees were removed, because obviously they were knocked the power lines down at one point and they looked like crap with the stumps in the air. So.
Yeah. Any other input from the board members? How they feel about this, please?
I think it's positive.
What's that?
I think it's a positive. I think it will
Definitely an improvement.
Yep.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for petition number 888 with any stipulations, whatever the board feels.
I'll make a motion to accept petition 888 as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and seconded to accept petition number 888 as presented. I'll call for a voice vote. Keziah?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So it passes 5-0 to 0. Alana has some paperwork for you that we'll sign. Has to be brought down to the Registry of Deeds.
Okay.
There's a 20-day waiting period, an appeal period that you'll have to wait. That gives the neighbors any type of opportunity if they do want to appeal it, and then you get it stamped. She'll explain it to you. You have to go downstairs and then go to the Registry of
But I
Deeds.
do work on the property
Right
at my own
here,
discretion.
Yes. Oh, I mean, my.
What kind of work?
Like take
Yes
the
or no?
stumps up, knock the house down,
Signature,
and all that stuff.
You gotta get a demolition.
Yeah, well, I gotta go, I'm gonna go in there.
You know what, I don't know how the other board members feel, if the building, if it's okay with the building inspector to do that kind of
I mean, it almost
prep
fell
work.
down with the tree guys there. Literally, it almost fell down. It's like he thought it was going. So it's just that, I'm getting nervous because it's her house and just the kids, and you never know who's gonna go in there. There's a hole in the roof.
Well, I think you should bring that to the
Yeah.
attention of the building inspector, and if it's okay with him, board, okay with the board?
Yeah.
I don't see any problem with it.
All right, that's all. All right,
Good luck.
all right, thank you very much.
Have a good
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah. All right, bye.
Well said. Yeah, okay,
If you have
great.
any questions, just give me a call.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice night.
You're a celebrity now.
No. We already discussed that.
Here's Peter.
My interview from the boys' bathroom.
All right.
Great.
How old are you doing that?
The youngest freshman.
Really?
Doing it, yeah.
Found his own movie,
Got a lot of
the vapes of.
All right, let's fly through this.
That's pretty good.
Vapes. You can use that.
I'm gonna
That'd be
use
good.
that. Guaranteed.
That's awesome. Hey, let's do the bills real quick.
Oh, yeah.
We'll start them, or we
Not
can do
this year,
We can
maybe
do them
next
real
year.
slow, whatever the case.
Wait till the van comes in.
The van.
We're talking about that van as long as I've been here.
Oh,
Where's
is
the
it true
van?
now that the superintendent has also approved a makeup artist for you for next year's
Yeah.
budget?
Yeah, that was in my contract this year. I just didn't use it that much.
What's a space heater? Is it cold in here?
Did we get a space heater?
Ooh,
There you go.
at least somebody's reading them. That's
This is just,
space
say
heater.
that you read
I'm not approving that.
And in the summertime, there's
whoops.
there's a bill for a guy with a big fan, feathered fan. Oh, we did that. We're good.
That was.
We're good.
Space heater is good to go.
All right, let's do some correspondence. The first one being from the planning board regarding site plan review for Mudfest to the town clerk, building inspector, police department, board of health, fire department, from the planning board, and we got one also regarding site plan review. Filing number 19 SPR-01. Please see the enclosed site plan for the event known as Mudfest. The planning board will be holding a public hearing on February 7th at 6:35 p.m. Oh, good. To review the said plan, the applicant Robert Bergstrom is asking for all waivers of site plan requirements according to our bylaw 16728. Have we received such application?
No.
Okay. Please forward all comments, concerns, or questions by February 6th for our meeting on February 7th. Copy of the site plan available for review. Water Commissioners, Conservation, Zoning Board of Appeals. Okay, now we have our second one regarding the memo regarding the building commissioner to the Board of Selectmen, Twin Lakes Liquors and Convenience.
Building commissioner now?
Oh, yeah.
That thing?
Oh, yeah, sure we do. This letter is in response to the notice of public hearing from the Board of Selectmen concerning the company DBA Twin Lakes Liquors and Convenience. Response to a phone call from a concerned citizen, the fire chief and I, with consent of the owner, had an informal meeting on 9/11/18 with the owner of Twin Lakes Liquors and his son at the property located 655 on Ponset Street. The intent of this meeting was to assess the structural integrity as well as the life safety standards of the building in use at that address. During the meeting, it was observed that most of the building is in disrepair with significant structural damage and water infiltration on the northerly side of Route 58. The building was full of old furniture, equipment, and debris. At this time, the fire chief and I concluded that all contents of the building, except the portion of the liquor store, should be removed, and the liquor store needed to be isolated from the remaining structure. All electrical, plumbing, sanitation, and gas should be disconnected by licensed entities applying for receiving approval for the applicable permits. To this date, no one has responded to this office concerning the progress of this matter. The goal of that meeting was to advise the owner of the multiple code concerns, ultimately intending to have the property meet minimum compliance within a reasonable amount of time. In order to bring this property into compliance, any proposed work regulated by 780 CMRs 34 existing building code and subject to section 107 of 780 CMRs submittal documents and construction control. As a condition of the issuance of a permit, the building owner shall cause the existing building or portion thereof to be investigated and evaluated in accordance with the provisions of 780 CMI 34 section 104.221. This letter is to inform the board at this time that there are ongoing safety hazards at this address and that any new entity should be informed of the need to bring this property into compliance. Okay, third one, the Dunkin' Donuts application withdrawal. To all departments, February 8th, special permit 884. At their meeting on Thursday, February 7th, the planning board received a letter from Joseph Murray of Bike Realty LLC requesting the special permit application for 884 for Dunkin' Donuts be withdrawn without prejudice. The board has accepted the request and has closed the public hearing. If you have any questions concerning this request or any future applications for this property, please feel free to contact me. That's that halo lighting that we had discussed the last time. And the last one, a Form A Fuller Street. to the town clerk, conservation, building inspector, highway, assessors, board of health, water department, zoning board of appeals. February 8th, 2019, Form A distribution. Please find attached copy of a Form A that was approved and endorsed by the planning board at their February 7th, 2019 meeting, area zone residential. File 19-A-02, Fuller Street, map 127, lots 13 and 15, map 131, lot 16A, respectfully creates 5 new lots. We don't have anything, Alana, that's come in front of our board other than
Nope.
for applications thereof. Any questions or anything? The Form A is enclosed. You're certainly welcome to look at that.
For 5 lots.
5 lots. Yeah. The last order of business is the conflict of interest form from Dan Bersari signature.
Got it.
Did you take care of that?
Yes.
We were, and everybody else is all
All set?
For the lots of Cumberland.
bingo.
Is that what this is?
All that land belongs to Cumberland.
Where is this now?
Fuller Street. As soon as you go down Wood Street,
Yeah. Take a left.
yeah, Fuller Street is right there. All these about the road, they're gonna put
Who's-
houses on there.
Whose development is, did you say this was Cumberland Farms
Yeah.
property?
Is it? It was something else.
They own that.
So it's that big field?
Yeah.
They keep carving that up
Uh-huh.
in the last year or so.
They did 2 houses on the corner. They did one on the corner and
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
then they continued on.
They're not gonna disturb the pheasants back there, I hope.
Yeah.
Well, they're putting a big building up there for the marijuana plant.
Well,
That's at the
they're
end.
talking about that. They haven't.
They're doing a construction on it.
That's
No, that's a
solar.
solar.
panels.
Solar?
Yeah. They haven't come back with a marijuana thing yet. The town has.
They're
to
doing the
approve that.
construction on the,
But that's solar panels. I think they're doing. But yeah, this is all.
Where, at the end
fields
of
are all
River
on the
Street
same.
and,
on.
where are you talking?
River and
Street.
Thompson, right
River.
across the street from Pratt Street.
Right across, yeah.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
the old airport used to be.
That airport was fun.
Huh?
That airport was always
this is
fun,
not-
remote
this is
controlled
not-
airplanes and stuff.
Yeah.
These are the fields back here. This is behind that. So you take the left. There's like the blueberry farm right here.
All this belongs to them.
Really? All
They
of
have
it?
1,400 acres.
Jesus.
Weren't you
They're
farming
carving
that?
up
Lockwood?
though.
I
Yeah.
found 400 of it on the
Oh,
other
really?
side.
Good. Hey, gentlemen, unless there's anything else, our next scheduled meeting is March 11th, 2019.
Peter?
That's it. There you go.
You wanna leave the meeting open while you review that?
Yeah, that's
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0 to 0. Alana, are you all good?
They keep breaking
Did you
stuff
sign
like that. It's
minutes?
nothing left out.
Yes, I did. I don't know if the others did. I signed it.
Play ball.
Yeah.
All that land behind there.